Hey everyone, and welcome to Tabletop Teaching Educators Edition. Today we're talking a little bit about some fun activities you can do with your virtual or digital students. Before getting into these best fun activities to do in the virtual classroom, please subscribe to our channel for more tips and tricks on how to teach virtually or to personalize a virtual, digital, or blended learning environment. So getting into these fun activities, one of the hardest parts about teaching in a virtual classroom is not really getting to know your students like you do in the physical classroom. It's really hard to build relationships and to have that personal connection when there's miles and miles and computer screens in between you. But these are some fun activities that can be done in both a virtual or a blended classroom setting and can really promote that connection or relationship building. The first activity that I'm going to mention is going to be themed literary discussion groups. So if you're in an ELA classroom or any classroom, you can go ahead and theme your small group sessions so that when you have your 5 or 6 students log into the computer, they can have a little bit of fun with it. They can dress up, they can bring themed snacks, they can play parts, or even do some active role playing while in the discussion group. Some examples of this would be if you're reading The Metamorphosis in an ELA classroom, you can easily assign character roles to your students so that when you actually have a discussion on character or on events that happen in the story, your students have to answer questions as if they were those characters. This would be really fun to see someone do if they were Gregor, which is the character that turns into a giant beetle. Another option for this or idea would be in a history class. You can assign a specific time period or a specific historic event that has just happened. And then you bring your students in with a list of questions that they're already prepared to talk about. They have to act as if they're in that time period or era, and they have to stay as accurate as possible. Now, this kind of themed discussion group in a virtual setting requires a lot of research on your students' parts, and they may not do the research the first time, but eventually they're going to start doing the research because they're going to have a lot of fun with it. The more you let students play, no matter what age they are, the more they get into the activity, period. I said period as if it was a text. If you want some more ideas on different themes that you can have for discussion groups, no matter the subject, check our links down below. The next activity that you can have in a virtual classroom that is actually a lot of fun is going to be the typical Kahoot or Quizzes or Quizlet games that everyone is used to playing. However, you can actually assign these throughout a period of time. So you give your students the code, they get a 24-hour or 48-hour window to play the game, and they're still competing against each other because they get to see the points board or the scoreboard that pops up when they're done playing, and they can play it multiple times. I always enjoy awarding points or some sort of goodie for the student that does the best or the top 5 students that do really good. Now, coming up with treats in the virtual classroom can be a little difficult, but get creative and figure out what it is your students want. They might like bonus points or extra credit, but they also might like to have more say in the virtual classroom. They might enjoy the idea of getting to choose a background that you use in your virtual lesson. They may decide that they want to do a social media challenge day where they all get to choose a challenge of their choice and present it to the class. There's a lot of things that you can use in the virtual setting that get students excited and engaged. Make sure you think about those and even ask your students what they would like and think about what you can accurately offer in order to spice up these activities and games. The last activity that I'm going to mention is going to be a digital scavenger hunt. Now, when I say digital scavenger hunt, I don't actually mean 100% digital. There's actually 2 ways you can do a scavenger hunt for the virtual classroom. The first way to do it is obviously to set up a bunch of links and have students search the web and have to find specific things either online or in a digital text or things like that. While that can be fun, it can also get boring real quick. It's probably only going to be fun twice in the classroom. However, the virtual scavenger hunt that will never get old is going to be the one where you allow your students to get up and get out, okay? Now, by this, we're in a virtual setting. Students have places they can and cannot go. However, that is up to the parent to decide. So you can give students a list of challenges, a list of suggestions, or a list of items that they have to get creative about and to take pictures or to take video of these things. Now, I don't ever stipulate that the student must be in the photo, but they can if they choose. Make sure it's not a requirement, just in case you have parents who don't want their students recorded. If students have people in photos or videos that are not part of the class, go ahead and have them blur photos or at least get consent. But an example of this is, let's say around Halloween time, you give your students a list of 10 Halloween themed items to find within their neighborhood. They can find Halloween decorations, they can get a picture of a scary tree, they can take a picture when it's dark outside. Fun things to get them out and moving, but also participating together as a class. Now, you might be going, that has nothing to do with my curriculum. Well, it doesn't have to do with your curriculum, but you can always find a way to connect these things together. For example, in an ELA classroom, I might have students find a bunch of fun Halloween themed images, but then I'm going to relate them or have them use them to make their own narrative spooky story. An example for a math teacher, maybe students can use the images to inspire word problems that they are then able to share amongst the class. Getting students outside and engaged and taking photos is never really a bad thing. You can find ways to branch it together with your curriculum with just a little bit of creativity. If you want some more ideas for different curriculum teachers, check our links below. These are my best ideas for spicing up the virtual classroom and getting students engaged. And the best thing about these ideas is they can be used over and over again. So I hope they help you with your students. I hope they get your students engaged and out of the class and inspired and excited about the curriculum. Check us out next week. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe.